Hello and welcome back. It's been a little bit of a minute since the last time we recorded because you had some life events happen.
Yeah, life got in the way. My dad was in the hospital. Then we had all these stupid snowstorms. There were a couple snowstorms,
Yeah.
snow events.
Snow blizzards, apocalypses.
Horrible. Horrible. There's still mountains of snow and ice right now in the Philly area.
And because we're committed to live recording, we couldn't do stupid Zooms where you have to hear a giant delay between what I say and Amanda's reaction. We already have that a little bit in real life. See, like that.
Me pausing.
That was a prime example. So
Pause.
thank you for illustrating that so perfectly.
Yeah.
So today we are here to talk about green flags as a follow-up to our red flags episode. The red flags were many for me.
Many. I even thought of more later. And I think it just is such a hot topic.
Yeah, for me, I have far fewer green flags because I think I've had so many problematic relationships and dating situations that have generated the red flags and so few good relationships that have generated green flags for me to be like, yeah, that's something I want to make sure exists in a future situation. I think that's my theory anyway. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I just feel like it's a lot easier to come up with red flags.
I mean, the strategy you can use is just switch the red flags over to the opposite is the green flag.
Well,
I kind of did that.
what's the opposite of a horse girl? How do I find the green flag version of that? Like she raises raccoons or something?
I don't
or
know.
Just doesn't have an animal
Yeah,
at all?
maybe it's just that she doesn't have an animal that she dotes on.
Yeah. I want to be the animal she dotes on.
Yeah, me
Just
too.
kidding. Just kidding. You want to go first? Kick it off? I'm sure yours are extremely poignant and universal, and mine are all shallow and silly.
Well, that's what we found with the red flags, but you never want to assume. But
I think mine are more balanced this time. I have some
Yeah.
that are like existential and
Yeah.
highfalutin, and then I have others that are silly.
yeah. Well, my first green flag is opposite of one of my red flags because for one of my red flags, probably the top one, it was bad communication. I'm a communicator by nature. I have a degree in it. It's really important to me to have healthy communication, balanced communication, and consistent communication. So I would say the red flag in that case was when people have horrible communication skills, that was a clear red flag. But the green flag is if they communicate well, they are consistent, they say what they mean and mean what they say, and they're not, going days and days without hearing from them, or they're not giving you mixed messages, or, just inconsistencies. So I will say with my current partner, that was one of the things that stood out to me right away was that I remember it was only maybe a week or two after we had met and had been dating or whatever. But I remember there was this one night where I hadn't heard from him much during the day, but he texted me later saying, "Hey, my day has been really busy. I'm running around, but I just wanted to take a second to say, like, I'm thinking of you and wanted to say hi. It's not because I'm like ignoring you. It's just, I'm really busy." And that was, my heart went pitter patter because
Oh my God.
it's like, that's all I was asking for any of these other bozos. Like, I understand everyone's busy and I don't expect people to be texting me 24/7 because I'm quite busy, but it is nice to have someone say, even though I'm busy, I'm still thinking about you and wanted to take a minute to check in.
Maybe
So-
they would have gotten back to you if you didn't call them bozos. That might be a way to get that communication started.
I mean, I didn't say it to their faces.
Well, that's even worse. So you're passive aggressive.
I am very, I've been told I am a very passive aggressive person,
Yeah.
might be a red flag, but
Yeah. Yeah, we should have your boyfriend come in and do his red flags and which ones of those you trip off.
oh, maybe.
Okay, so communication. Let's see. My first one is, I think it's shallow, but it belies something less shallow, which is they mentioned books on their profile. I like a reader for some reason. My parents were both avid readers, so I'm sure that has something to do with it. Ironically, I am a sporadic reader. I don't read a ton, but I do read consistently. But yeah, I tend to really like literate women who are, they're Belle from Beauty and the Beast. They're always got their nose in a book. especially if that is their hobby over reality shows. That's neither here nor there. But I have known several readers who are also into reality shows, so that's fine. I just
Like
don't.
myself, I mean, I'm an English teacher, but I also do watch The Housewives.
Yeah. I just think it says something about a person that they are capable of reading. I dated somebody who said they didn't have the attention span for it anymore that they used to be and no longer could. And it just was like, how many times can you hear about the housewives before you lose your mind?
Right. You don't want that to be the only thing you're talking about. And
Right.
I agree. Like especially if they not only read but write well, they use proper grammar because that's another. I don't think we put that in our red flags, did we?
That they have
The
terrible grammar.
improper like texting with a whole bunch of errors and things, that drives me crazy. If someone says you the wrong version of they're out. Like I can't.
Yeah, that is a tricky one for me because my mother was an English teacher for a while and she was way more severe with me about my English homework than my teachers even were.
Yeah.
So I have kind of become the grammar police and I have to really put that in check because I think a lot of times people are using voice to text and
Right.
they're in a rush or I don't know, maybe they're driving, whatever it is, like they're not paying full attention to their texting and so I have to kind of let that go a little bit, but there is that judgmental tendency
Yeah.
in me. So yeah, I definitely feel that. All right, what's your next one?
So the next one is just being an upstanding citizen in general, like a clean.
You don't like convicts.
Right. Clean record. I don't know.
I mean, are we talking misdemeanor? Like what is allowed?
Well, I don't know. Nothing. Because here's the thing: from being in those groups, the "Are we dating the same guy?" group,
Yeah.
you do find out when all these women post, "Oh, I did a background check on this guy, and he has all these like domestic violence police reports against him, or didn't pay child support for and different things like that." So kind of like that level. I mean, I would say that being a psycho killer is probably like that's a given that wouldn't be appealing, but
Sure.
but I think it's a green flag just to show that they are responsible, upstanding citizens with, I'm not saying like, okay, they got a parking ticket, that means they're terrible or anything. But for the most part, if they're living life above board or whatever, that's
Yeah.
a good sign.
It's a good thing you don't rule out parking tickets because I feel like in this area, anybody who's been in Philadelphia has gotten slammed by the PPA, the Philadelphia Parking Authority, who are, without a doubt, the most efficient government agency I've ever encountered.
Yeah.
If you leave your car 1 minute past the meter, you're
Right.
going to get a ticket. So it's probably wise that you don't exclude those people. And also, to hell with the PPA.
That's why when I go to Philly, I Uber. I don't even try.
Yeah, smart.
It's too much stress for me to
Sure.
try to park.
Parking is a mess. I mean, I had to be in Philly this week, and because of the snowpocalypse,
Right.
there was no parking space available anywhere, and that was a very unpleasant aspect of my journey. Anyway, all right, that's a pretty good one, I guess. No record. I didn't even think about that one.
And not just no record, but when I say upstanding citizen, maybe they also are involved in a nonprofit or do something charitable. They're
Oh, wow.
just,
Well, you're looking for an angel?
I'm not saying all the time, but I'm very involved with a nonprofit, so I just
Yeah.
like that quality in other people, that they're willing to serve their community in some way.
Okay. High standards. I respect it. My next one is that they say or do anything remotely humorous. I think I mentioned in the red flags one, maybe I didn't, I'm not sure. If they are a stand up, that's too much. I don't want to be the subject of terrible jokes at a open mic night on Wednesdays at Tom and Jerry's or whatever.
Right.
But humor is such a crucial aspect of any relationship. Like, you can't take yourself too seriously. I even have on my profile somewhere, it says, like, you enjoy meandering conversations, you find happiness at home and abroad, and you don't take things too seriously because at the end of the day, we're hurtling through a void on an interstellar bowling ball. It's a little bit of a tongue twister. I think that's just an important aspect to just hanging out, right? Because
Right.
if you're going to dinner with these people in the early stages or you're doing these kind of more formal dates, the conversation can be easy breezy, whatever. But if they don't get my humor or if they can't make a joke themselves, then it's going to be a challenge because
Right.
I probably to a uncomfortable degree find humor in everything. I realize that might be a weakness of myself, but I don't want to be around somebody. For example, I used to work with people who were dead serious all the time. You would try to find a crack in their armor and they just would never give you anything. And it makes life miserable when you're around people like that who can't find anything funny, because so much of life is just stupid and idiotic. And if this person's going to be around for the rest of my life, I don't want to be locked into somebody who doesn't think it's hilarious that we're all going to be wearing diapers someday.
Right. No, good sense of humor is way up there for me as well, because I love to laugh and I have the same view that you do. We have enough serious things going on in the world, especially right now, that if you don't laugh about some things, you're going to go crazy. I don't know how you're even going to navigate, everything right now, unless you can find some humor in some places. But I don't know. I joke around all the time. I'm a very unserious person, so it was important for me to find someone who also is a little bit. I like guys who are a little bit silly. Definitely like let their guard down and look like a fool once in a while, and they don't care.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've met your boyfriend briefly, and he seems to be a fairly serious fellow. Does he have a sense of humor?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not accusing, I'm asking. I don't know. I only met him for like 20 minutes.
He was saying we have to hang out again, so, But no, he's very funny.
Okay, good.
Very funny on a regular basis. He makes me cry laughing sometimes.
He's got how many kids? Two,
yeah.
He's got
and they're
two
funny
boys
as well. Yeah.
So I feel like you have to have a sense of humor if you have a boy as a kid,
for
especially.
Sure. Yeah.
Because everything to them is poop jokes and fart jokes and
Except I get the one boy who's super serious. He's like a little 75-year-old man in a 17-year-old's body, but once in a while he will, he'll crack up about something. But for the most part, he's very serious. But yeah, my boyfriend and his sons definitely have a great sense of humor. So
I'm glad.
I appreciate it. All right. Oh, my turn again.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was me when I pointed at you. What did you think I was pointing at you for?
Social cues.
You were a radio DJ. How do you not know what pointing at you means?
I know. Hey, we're a little out of practice. Okay, it's been a while. So my next one is manners.
Oh, okay.
I think it is very encouraging. Definitely a green flag if you're with someone who is polite to waitstaff, for example. That in social situations, they are gracious. They formally introduce themselves. They ask questions when they meet your friends and things like that. I have been with guys who did not have good manners that way. If I introduced them to other friends or whatever, they were kind of rude to them.
Yeah.
And, were not curious or asking questions. And I think it's really important that, I guess the other thing that goes along with that, since I keep thinking about introducing to friends, but the willingness to meet the people in my world and actually be polite to them. You don't have to like everybody. I have some friends who are definitely a little bit controversial. They're very opinionated. They could definitely rub people the wrong way. I just gravitate toward people. I like people who are a little bit edgy, sarcastic. So I don't expect whoever I'm with to be best friends with my friends. But again, I've been with people who were very antagonistic toward my friends, and it caused some problems. So I think manners with my friends, but manners with people in general, when you're out at a restaurant, saying please and thank you, shaking hands with someone, I just appreciate good manners.
Now, does this go as far as Emily Post, they're not allowed to have their elbows on the table, or just social graces mostly you're talking about?
No, but you also don't want to be acting like a hillbilly when you're out at somewhere, you know what I mean? You don't want to put your feet up on the table if you're at a fancy restaurant or something like that. But
that happens all the time when I go to fancy restaurants.
Right.
There's always that guy in the corner.
Well, you never know. Yeah. So, yeah, I just think good etiquette. People who write, and to go along with manners, following up after a date, or I don't know, or after, you do something nice for someone, that they say thank you later, or even, I don't expect a formal thank you note, but when I do get formal thank you notes, I always appreciate that. Not that, the person I'm dating is going to give me a formal thank you note, but...
Dearest Amanda, it has been the pleasure of my... Yeah, I think you view yourself as a country princess from London in 1830, and you have a very different view of how most guys would handle the dating process. But, that's your preference.
Well, no, I mean, I have had guys after dates at least text me later and say, thanks for coming out. I had such a good time.
Yeah.
Let's do it again. I think that's just good manners.
Yeah. I will say that your point about friend blending is also very important. I have definitely been in situations, my most recent one is a great example, where she didn't want to hang out with my friends. She didn't want to meet new friends. Mm-hmm. She did not like socializing in general.
Yeah.
Her job was very socially oriented, and so she wanted to just check out as soon as work was over. So that was taxing because when I don't do a lot of socializing at work, I tend to do all my socializing with my friends outside of work. So it was a very polar opposite situation where I just would be like, oh, I invited so-and-so to dinner on Friday. And she's like, you did what? Like, why would you do that? And I'm like, because I want to see my friends. And she's like, well, did you ask me first? And I was like, I guess I could have done that. That's right. I should have asked, but I didn't think it'd be the end of the world. So it became a whole big thing. And they talk about when you marry into a family, right? It's the same kind of thing with your friends. Like you're marrying, quote unquote, into the friends when you start a new relationship. And if there's friction between you and their friends, that can be a real challenge that drags everybody down. So very good point. My next one is that they have been to therapy at one point or another.
Yeah,
that is an extremely important thing for me. It's gone too far where I've dated people who were seeing like 2 therapists and they couldn't function without them. And it was just a constant thing of self-improvement and always asking me like, well, am I doing this? Am I doing that? And it kind of became a burden. But I do think that there is a lot to be said for people doing some inner work of some kind and figuring out what improving their self-awareness and their interpersonal skills and finding out where their gaps are and that kind of thing. Because you don't want to have to be doing all of that as their significant other. That can create a whole nother burden that you really don't want to have to carry. So I think it's really important that every now and again they check in with a therapist and just make sure they're doing okay.
Yeah, that is a really good one. I think that everyone should be working on themselves in some capacity. Not that everyone has these traumatic core wounds and childhood trauma. I think a lot of people do. But even just recognizing unhealthy patterns and how to improve those and find healthier ways to deal with things when you're triggered or whatever. I think that's really important to have a healthy relationship. So I agree. I think that is a very good green flag.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was happy with it. Mm-hmm. What's your next one? I won't point at you because I know that doesn't work.
My next one is that family is important to them. They value family. And again, maybe they're estranged for a good reason, for some of their family members. But like there was this one guy, I went on a couple dates with him, the police lieutenant guy, and a lot of things didn't add up about him. He was one of those, all my exes are crazy. Oh, they made fake reports about me saying that I was abusive, but really it was just to take me down. I was like, this doesn't really sound...
Oh, so the world's out to get you specifically, huh?
Right. And so I'd ask about his, well, I don't talk to my mom. We fought because I didn't like who she remarried. And, oh yeah, I don't talk to my sister. I don't talk... If you're not talking to anybody in your family, I think that's definitely a red flag. So conversely, if you have a good relationship with your family and you value family, I think that is a green flag.
I would fail that test because I have a gigantic family. I'm the youngest of 6, I think we've talked about, and I don't talk to hardly any of them. I tried on occasion, but it just doesn't really work out. We kind of all went our separate ways after our parents died. So yeah, I feel like a little bummed whenever I start dating somebody new and they start asking about my family. I'm just like,
yeah.
Well, it doesn't help too that my family is very conservatively religious and I am not. So, I'm open to all possibilities and I don't know what the answers are, but I feel like my family is very convinced of the answers and they are very frustrated with me for not aligning with theirs. So, I'm a giant walking red flag. We know this. This is not shocking.
No, but the thing is, I think that you see value in family, even if it's just the relationship you have with your son.
Oh yeah.
You know, like that sort of sense of family.
That's because he's awesome. So
he is awesome. I miss him. We gotta hang soon.
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
I believe it's my turn. And my next one. Sorry, were we all finished with that? It looked like you might have one more thing to say.
No, I think that just about sums it up. Family is important, or they value family.
Yeah.
And, you know, blood is thicker than water. I think you have to acknowledge that, you know, family is an important thing.
It's kind of ironic that you used that phrase because I don't know if you've seen this whole thing that like the original phrase was much longer. Blood is thicker than water, but I can't remember the rest of it. But essentially it's saying the opposite of what it's intended to mean in common parlance, that like blood is thicker than water, but you essentially choose your family by choosing your friends, is the rest of the phrase in much better language than that. Anyway, that aside.
Okay.
My next one is that they have traveled at some point. They are currently a traveler. One of those things, preferably somewhere outside of the U.S. at some point. Sorry, I know that's a little bit of a soft spot for you.
What do you mean?
Because you have often brought up that you wanted to travel and your ex didn't really want to do that, and now that he's with somebody else, he's traveling. How am I remembering your relationship problems more than you are?
I don't know. I just tried to block him out.
Yeah. So I didn't mean to like rub that in your face, but I do think that it's great when people have been to other places in the world. It's always a little bit of a weirdness when you go on a profile and you see that their hometown matches their current town. That's not the end of the world, but it's just like a little bit, oh, okay, so you've like never left home. And you know, again, that's not a red flag. It's more like a beige one. But I really do enjoy talking to people who have been to other places and seen how other cultures work. And I think this ties into another one that I'll just, because I'm sure I have more than you do. For some reason, I'm seeing that list. It looks a little short. I feel like the other aspect is that they are an adventurous eater, right? And if they're a world traveler, they're more likely to be that. I dated somebody for about 9 months who only ate chicken fingers and fries. And that was torture for me.
Yeah.
I love to eat a variety of cuisines. I hate eating the same thing every night for dinner. And not only did she have a limited diet, but she inadvertently would kind of force me into that just because she would be like, we have to go to some place that has chicken fingers. And I'm like, I can only go to so many Long John Silver's or whatever that I don't know. So yeah, I am not a big fast food person or a chain restaurant eater. And that was a problem. So my whole theory being that if they've traveled the world a little bit, even if it's only briefly, they've spent some time in other cultures, then they're going to be a more interesting person, and they're also going to not be precious about their cuisine, which makes me happy.
Why is it that people who are not adventurous with food, chicken fingers and fries is always the go-to meal? Like, that's always the standard thing that people who are picky about food always eat.
I don't know. My son went through that phase for like 4 years, and I was not happy about it. He was an adventurous eater as a baby, and then at some point he became a chicken fingers kid, and I just kept begging him to try new things, and he refused. But now for a couple of years now, he's come out of his shell more and is eating more things, and that's made me happy. And we are going to Spain in the summer.
You are?
I'm taking him on a father-son trip outside of the country for the first time. And
wow,
I am
that's
really
exciting.
hoping, it is exciting, and I'm really hoping that he does not want to eat chicken fingers and fries because we're going to be in a foreign country, and I've never been there, so I'm curious to see what the cuisine is like.
It's supposed to be very good.
I would imagine. I mean, the best food I've ever had was in Greece. Every single meal, I thought, this is the best meal I've ever had.
Ooh.
And then I'd have the next one and think, wow, this is the best meal I've ever had. You know, it's all, obviously it's Mediterranean food, so it was in a certain lane. But it was so fantastic, and I would absolutely go back on a heartbeat just for the food.
Ooh.
So I'm hopeful that Spain will live up to that kind of standard.
Yeah. I'm Italian, so food is very important to me. But going back to the traveling, I have to say, so like for me, I really I've been to Canada. That's it. As far as outside of the country, within the country, I mean, I've been to California and up and down the East Coast.
Why are you saying it like that?
What?
Why do you say California?
Because
like, California's great.
Like the Californians on SNL.
Oh, yeah.
Like, but yeah. No, I'm saying it like that because it's like it's not a big deal. Like it's like okay, I went
It's a
to
huge deal. You
California.
went to the opposite coast of the United States.
Right.
Not everybody gets to do that.
Right. I went to San Diego, which is nice, but here's the thing. If I had all the time and money in the world, yeah, there are places that I'd like to go, but I don't prioritize it. Hence, I really haven't been many places because, well, for a while I was dealing with a lot more pressing issues besides, what country am I going to go to? So, it's something I'd like to do more of, but I don't prioritize it.
Yeah.
However, I would like to try different cuisines for sure. But yeah, I don't know that you can necessarily hold it against people for not being a lot of places because maybe they just never had the means or
Well, that's why it's not a red flag, it's a green flag. It's just like
Right.
yeah, they are open to trying new things. And I definitely went through a phase because I traveled a lot when I was a kid against my will. My parents kind of, this sounds so horrible to say, but they traveled a lot and they took the younger four kids with them. And we just ended up seeing a lot of churches and cemeteries. It wasn't very interesting for a kid.
Right.
So my goal is to try to get my kid to like it because there are things that he can do, right? So I am totally down for going to an amusement park in Spain. I assume
Yeah.
they have them. But I think that's what he would enjoy. Like, I'm not trying to take him to a cemetery and be like, oh, Winston Churchill was buried here. Like, to me, that's interesting now as an adult. But when I was in fourth grade, absolutely not. That would be the last
No.
place I want to be. So did all that as a kid, and then I went through a good 10-year span where I didn't want to go anywhere because I was just tired of it. And that, again, sounds very spoiled to say, but it wasn't that I was tired of traveling. It was that I was tired of traveling that way.
Right.
And so I would like to kind of catch up now. COVID really put me on that path where when I was locked inside and couldn't go anywhere, I suddenly realized, like, I want to see other things besides the four walls of my house.
Yeah.
So I don't begrudge anybody who's not a traveler. It's just, if they are into it, it's a nice thing because I like to do it. And I think it just opens up their horizons. And I think that's a nice thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, since we were talking about food, I just thought of this, but, enjoying going to restaurants because I'm a foodie. I love going to restaurants, but also someone who can cook
Oh,
and
yeah.
cook well. And again, not to brag, but I got very lucky because my boyfriend did work as a cook for a while in a couple different restaurants, so he knows how to.
Nice.
And when I stay there, he cooks all of the meals for me.
I gotta say, I agree with you on that one. I realize it makes me a red flag in general because I am a pretty pedestrian cook. But like when I dated or was married to someone who was a cook, oh my God, it's life changing. You
It's great.
come home from work or whatever, and they're making dinner, and the house smells nice, and then they are making food that is 10 times whatever you could do. It definitely changes the way that you think about being at home.
Yeah.
As opposed to just like, what are we going to order tonight? And
Yeah.
it's more affordable. Like, there's just so many upsides to that.
Right. And just being like food centric. And the other thing is, maybe this is more of from the red flag angle, but I just thought of something with my one ex-boyfriend of like 3.5 years. He was like, he'd go like a really long time without wanting to eat. And I'm the type like, I need to eat like every few hours. And he'd be like, oh, I kind of forgot to eat or I'm not hungry. And it would be like, we'd
No.
wake up at like, 9 and it'd be like 2. And I'm like, are we eating something? Like, what is
Yeah.
happening? I can't stand that. Like, to me, it's a priority. You
I'm
have
the
to have
same
your
way.
meals.
Yeah. I don't know if this happens to other people, but I guess it doesn't for people like him. I wake up and the first thing I do after I shower is eat.
Yeah.
And then I am thinking about lunch until lunch. And
Me
then at
too.
lunch, I'm thinking about dinner until dinner.
Me too.
And if I don't eat on that set schedule, I don't know if this is conditioned or just the way that my body works. Like, I get headaches, my
Right.
blood pressure drops, like, I can't think straight. I get dizzy in some
Yeah.
cases. When I first learned that this was not what everybody does, was when I was recording an album up in Buffalo and in the studio with a bunch of other musicians. We're there for the whole week. And like the first day, I was just like, when it's like, same thing. It was kind of like
Yeah.
1 or 2 o'clock, and I'm just like, when are we eating lunch? And they were just like, we'll get it whenever we're done. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like,
Right.
when we're done, we're not going to be done until like 10 o'clock tonight. Like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And so I learned I'm a little bit of a prima donna in that regard.
I think that's normal. I mean, I get hangry if
Yeah.
it's too long, and that's all I can think about is when can I eat. So I think if they're consistent eaters and they can cook, that is
Yeah.
very much a green flag.
My friend and I have talked about numerous times that how many fights we have had with our significant others in the past because we were hungry.
Yeah.
Like how many could have been avoided if we just had a Snickers bar or something
Right.
because our blood sugar was low and just everything feels like a burden. You're just like, shut up. God.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, mine, I have a silly one, but it's still important. It's a green flag on a profile, right? So I feel like I need to separate these like relationship green flags versus profile green flags.
True.
These kind of came up at random. I didn't really put them in any order. So this is a profile one, which is they have full body pics, right? They're
Right.
willing to show you what they look like, and they're not hiding anything. It's a simple one, but I think it's important. And since that one's a short one and it doesn't look like you have anything to say, along the lines of what you were saying before with communication, on the profile, if they keep the conversation going, people who ask you questions and don't just absorb everything you say as if it's, I've talked about it before, a celebrity interview. I hate when people act like they are the important one and you're supposed to just ask them all the questions and they just answer them and there's no give and take. It needs to be a two-way street. Otherwise, it's just never going to work. Like, who wants to be in a relationship where the one person's on a pedestal and the other person is the worshiper? Like, I'm sure there are people like that, and God bless them, but it's not me.
Right. No, that's a very good point.
Thank you.
I like that.
Thanks. What are yours next? Your next one.
So we've talked a little bit about friends and the willingness to get to know your friends and whatnot. But I had on my list here, their friends are cool. Because if they're friends with terrible people or annoying people, that can give you pause, right? So I think like I really enjoyed when I can be friends with my partner's friends.
Yeah.
I've actually, it's funny because I've stayed friends with many of my ex-boyfriends or even ex-husbands' friends because I thought they were cool.
Yeah.
They were nice people. So I think if they, because in the red flag episode, I said, like, if they don't have friends, that's kind of weird. But also if their friends are insufferable, super annoying, not respectful of your relationship. Yeah, I think it's a very good sign, a green flag, if your partner's friends want to hang out with you guys or if they want to double date, like if they're with somebody and, you know, they just have a good rapport with you and want to get to know you on a personal level, not just like, oh, you're my friend's plus one, that they're actually interested in you as a person and also that they have good sense of humor and things of that nature. So my current partner has really good friends and we've definitely like overlapped our friend groups a little bit and you know he's become friends with my friends and vice versa. So I love that. I'm a very sociable person and I love having friends. So if I get more friends like through my partner, that's a bonus. That's a green flag.
So you're just using dating as a form of networking. You're just trying to build your stable of friends through your partner.
A little bit.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good one. And it's not something I ever would have thought of, but it is a great litmus test for you're going to have to hang around these people one way or the other. So
Right.
it should be enjoyable, preferably. Obviously, there's always going to be up and downs with friendships and challenges, whatever. But for the most part, yeah, you don't want to hang out with people that are the dregs of society or who
Right.
hate you, because I've been in those situations. Yeah, I think that's a great one. My next one is basically a two-parter, which is if they offer to help in small ways or when something goes wrong. So in small and big ways, they offer to help. So it's really just one. But it covers a large spectrum, I think. One of my favorite quotes of all time is Mr. Rogers, who said that when something goes wrong, look for the helpers.
Yes, I love that quote.
I had that philosophy before I ever heard him say that. And I was like, of course he'd say that. You know, I had a different version of it, which was whenever I don't know what to do, I try to help somebody else because I feel like it will become apparent what you need to do if you're helping someone else, because someone else either needs you to help them or it will help you discover what you want to do in that situation. and you're being a net positive if you do that. So that was sort of like a corollary of his statement before I even knew it existed. But I was trained in social work, and so I guess I always sort of leaned into that helper mentality. But a great example of the opposite of that is like was at a street festival or something. It was me and my son and my ex, and I had too many things in my hands because, you know, when you have a kid, you're carrying stuff for them as well as yourself.
Right.
So I just had too many things in my hand, and I asked her to hold a drink, and she was like, "I'm not holding that." And I was like,
What?
I just
Ew.
need to I just need to like tie my shoe or something. I don't remember what it was. Pick something up off the ground, something like that." And she was like, I didn't order it. It's your problem." And I was like, "Okay,
Ew.
great."
Ew.
Like,
What a biatch.
it was not my favorite moment with her. There were a lot of good moments, but that definitely was not one of them. And it just kind of illustrated to me that it's so much about being in a long-term relationship is the dark times, right? There's the great times and the happy times, and we want that all the time, but it's just not the reality. There are a lot of times when, say, your parents are in the hospital, or say, you know, you're in a crisis because you got fired from work, or you got in a car accident or whatever, and you really want that person to be there to support you in those moments, because you will never feel more alone than in those crisis moments if that person is not there to be by your side. So, you know, we are, as humans, social creatures, and we need that support, in my opinion. And the research has shown that people who have that support network live longer, all that kind of stuff. So I just think if you're getting into a relationship with somebody who is constantly looking out for themselves and isn't willing to lend a hand when things get dicey, you are in for a problem.
Yeah, good call. So my next green flag is caring about their appearance and
Shallow.
putting some, well, but do you want to be with someone who's a complete slob and has bad hygiene?
No, I 100% agree. I'm joking. I totally get. Yeah. Please keep going.
If they, look, they don't have to be magazine cover worthy or whatever, but like you,
Yeah.
Teddy,
honestly.
like, you know,
In my sweatpants and hoodie. Yeah.
it's okay. The casual look works for you. You found something that works. So
I mean, that's when I'm at home. I don't wear this in public.
No,
I just wear this because I'm comfortable with you. And,
yeah,
you know, if
of
you were a
course.
stranger, I'd be wearing jeans at least.
Okay, you don't have to try. You know.
Yeah. No, with you, I don't bother.
But I love I love that that's where we are.
Yeah.
I no, on the same. So yeah, I think that if you at least make an effort with your appearance, that's important. You're trying to be well kept, you know, and you want to smell good. I am a fragrance YouTuber, so I do pay attention to how people smell. And if you're at least brushing your hair, things of that nature, that you're even nails, like that's a big thing, you know, because if you've ever seen someone with, yours seem fine, but you know, the guys are, you know, who have like super long nails with dirt under them, that's kind of gross. So if you're at least trying,
You're putting in some effort.
you're putting in some effort, you have the awareness that, okay, I'm going to be in public, I should be presentable.
Sure.
I'm not going out in pajama pants and slippers. You know.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Bonus if they're into clothes and style, have some style. I really like that. Personally.
Yeah. I mean, I agree completely. There's maybe a middle ground for most people, but I discovered that I really don't like dating people who do the capsule wardrobe thing.
Oh, right.
I was really not a fan when that whole thing came out, because I dated two people in a row who everything they wore was jeans and a black shirt, jeans and a black shirt, jeans and a black shirt. And I just was like, guess what I'm going to see when they walk through the door? Like, you know, it just gets very old very quickly. And I hate to be shallow, but I am. And that's just something I've had to acknowledge about myself.
I love it. Well, it's the, like my family and we're huge Seinfeld fans, and we always talk about that episode with the girl that always wears the same dress. And then when Jerry's like talking to her for the last time, or they're breaking up. I forget what the situation is, but like as he's hanging up, he's like, "Why do you always wear the same dress?" It's so great
Yeah.
because yeah, I think you need a little bit of variety to keep things exciting. You don't want someone wearing the same thing over and over again, even with capsule wardrobes, because I've studied that. I mean, that's the complete opposite of me, obviously, but I've watched videos on capsule wardrobes, and even with that, you're supposed to at least change up your accessories, your a scarf, a
Yeah.
belt, to make it a little bit more interesting. But
Yeah, it's not for me. And I will say, I have dated a couple of people who were ultra femme and like had their giant wardrobes full of clothes and they were always adding new clothes. And there's something I really like about that, even though I know it's like a terrible financial decision, but just never knowing what
well,
they're going
how
to
are
look
you
like.
not madly in love with me?
I'm madly in love with your clothing choices. Yeah, but you never know what you're going to get when they walk through the door, and it kind of feels like it. I'm going to make up a phrase that's never been said before. Something like variety is the paprika of life. Like you just
Hmm.
need a little bit of spice here and there, and I think it's nice when they're changing their hair color or they're wearing different clothes or they're trying out a new look. Whatever, it's just nice to kind of change things up once in a while, and it can go too far for sure where they're always buying new things and it can drain your bank account, but it's also just like I'm a visual person. I do artwork for my job, right? I'm a graphic designer as part of my job.
Hmm.
And so I pay attention when people wear clothes that look well put together, and
Yeah.
it drives me a little crazy when the guys at work who don't give a crap about that are wearing a black belt with brown shoes, and I'm just like, what are you doing?
Hmm. You have an artistic eye.
I'm an artistic guy, and so I'm just saying it's a reward when you're dating somebody who cares about their appearance, because every time you see them, it's a new. And even if it's not new, it's not novelty, it's just that it's well put together. It's pleasant to look at, and I try to do the same thing for my partner. I try not to wear the same things, but it's harder for guys. Like there are not that many variations in what men can wear, right? We have polos, we
Hmm.
have button downs, we have t-shirts. Like that is literally our full range. So it's a little harder to reciprocate that, but I have also noticed that most of the women I've dated don't care. They just want you to not be hideous. So yeah, I think that is a very valid point. You put in some effort and it'll pay off.
Hmm.
Is it my turn or your turn? That was your turn, right? I guess this goes under the communication thing, but they don't interrupt me constantly or talk over me. This is a personal thing, I think, that is born of being the youngest of six kids,
Hmm.
being in a gigantic family that extended far beyond the kids. We had foster kids in the house. We had aunts and uncles and cousins and grandparents living with us at different times. When people talk over me at some point, I develop a stutter. So it's a very problematic psychological impact, I guess, when people start preventing me from talking. And I try to be respectful of other people. I try to, as my old job put it, monitor my airtime and not be too dominating. So I just kind of appreciate the same in reverse. And it can be really off putting when somebody cuts you off and always wants to interject and never lets you get a thought out. So yeah, when a person makes space for you to be a communicator and wants to hear what you have to say, cares about what you have to say, I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, and I think you could also just call that like being a good listener,
Mm-hmm.
which is definitely a green flag.
For sure.
There's active listening, where you reflect back what you heard the person say, and yeah, again, all under the umbrella of communication skills, which I think are
Yeah.
super super important.
It's a branch of communication skills, I'd say, because I think most people when they think of communication think of how they can express themselves and aren't always thinking about how they can receive information back. So you're 100% right. It is that. And I probably should have mentioned it when you talked about communication, but I didn't
That's okay.
because I didn't look ahead. So what's your next one? Or are you out of them? I saw you put your paper
No,
down.
no, no. Because I thought, again, kind of superficial, but because I'm so into movies and music and pop culture, for me, it's a green flag if they like a lot of the same things or are at least aware of them. Because again, that police lieutenant, he had never seen certain movies that are pretty big movies. I might have mentioned it in the previous episode, but he hadn't seen like Christmas Vacation, Back to the Future. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, I just don't like movies.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm literally a film teacher. So I don't know if I could be in a relationship with someone where we never talk about movies.
Yeah.
And even just a willingness to watch different types of movies, movies that I recommend, that they have movies that are their favorites that they want to watch with me. That's a green flag to me. Or they make me a mix, music mix playlist. What, early when I started dating my boyfriend, we did a little like YouTube music, playlist mixes for each other. Like, here's all my favorite stuff. Now, what's all your favorite stuff?
Yeah.
Because that is my love language. I love music and movies. So that's super important to me. It might not be for everybody, but for me, it's a green flag if they're at the very least familiar with your world as far as what you're interested in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I have to, as a fellow movie and music enthusiast, it is hard when the person is not into that stuff. And I guess like you could broaden it out to they're supportive of your hobbies, right?
Yes.
Maybe they don't share them, but they are at least willing to engage with you on them a little bit. So, I dated somebody who hated baseball. And for me, baseball is a big chunk of my life during the spring and summer. And I would just be really excited because I went to a game, or first of all, I wanted to go to a game, and she was kind of resistant to that sometimes. Other times she went out of her way and got like a friend to give us tickets. So like, she did try.
Yeah.
But there was times when I would tell her, I needed to offload an excitement. I'm just like, I saw a really great thing happen on the game. It was amazing. And she's like, oh, you need a friend. And I'm like, yeah, I thought that was you.
Yeah.
I thought I could tell you, who's supposed to be my best friend. So I think that extends to other hobbies. I've dated people who are not into movies, and it's, what do you do? There's only so much conversation you can have with a person, and just at some point you want to turn off the brain and just enjoy some entertainment. I'm sure there's a lot of well-rounded, smart, sophisticated people out there who don't watch movies as a hobby. And I don't know what they do with their lives, but I'm sure they're much more interesting than me, and I wish them, God bless them.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a big one for me.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'll try to put these two together because I think I'm running past you in terms of the number here. If they offer to pay or make a plan for your date, like once ever, that is a green flag for me. Most women that I have gone out on dates with, just when the check comes to the table, they don't even glance at it. They act like it's not even a real thing, which I am used to. I've been conditioned into for a lot of time now, and I am okay with that. But it is nice when every now and again they say, you know what, you had a hard week at work, or you know what, I really love you and I want to treat you. So tonight I am going to pay. We're going to a place that you want to pick. Or they know that I don't want to pick because I do it literally 99.9% of the time as the man. And they're like, I would really like to go to this restaurant. And I'm like, hell yeah, let's do that. I might not even like the place that much, but I'm just like, let's do it. Because not having to pick once in a while is a relief. I don't know when that became a thing. I didn't realize that for the longest time, that women just hate picking in general.
Not me, I love picking.
Oh, well, you, as we have said, are not like other girls.
I'm not like other girls.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's nice having that burden taken off of your shoulders every once in a while. It doesn't have to be every time, but just like maybe 1 out of 10, they say, hey, I'm going to pick where we go for dinner tonight, or I'm going to pick what we're making for dinner, whatever. Something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just showing initiative, and this was very early on when I met you. I know I had said that. I like initiative. I like people have but it doesn't have to be all the time. But it is a nice feeling when someone else makes the plan. Again, I hate to keep talking about my boyfriend, but I remember
this guy again.
We had coffee as our first date. We didn't even know that it was a date necessarily. We were just, because we didn't meet on an app. We met on Facebook.
You met him on Facebook, and you told him you had a crush on him.
I didn't say I had a crush on him.
You
I
used
said
the
I liked
Facebook crush option.
No, it came up as send a secret crush, but I didn't use that because I didn't know what it was. I still don't know what that is. I have
see.
no idea what happened.
So you messaged him because you saw the crush thing come up, but you didn't
He
message him.
came up as a suggestion for sending, but I don't even know where this pool of people came from because he wasn't on Facebook dating or anything.
It's your friends of friends.
I guess, but it's so weird because what do they get? And how do they know that they're single? Because he had nothing saying he was single or looking or anything like that. But
Obviously,
anyway,
destiny brought you guys
it
together.
was destiny. So no, I friend requested him. So
Yeah.
we just started talking about all the friends that, music and all of our mutual musician friends and things like that. But for our first real date, dinner and a movie,
Okay.
he chose where. He sent me screenshots of the possible seats and said, like, are these seats okay with you? Which I loved because I was dating all these guys who were very willy-nilly about things and were just like, yeah, they're kind of like, what do you think? Where should we go? And again, for a first date, I think I like a gentleman who is going to help plan things. Once we're together, you can go back and forth and whatnot. But I appreciated that initiative, and he did. He took the lead on, okay, and here's a restaurant that's right near the theater. Would you like to go there? Things like that, and had it all planned out. So it was several days before, and again, I guess that's another green flag is that they're making plans well in advance because the opposite, the red flag is at like whatever, 7:00 at night, they're like, oh, you are, are you doing anything tonight?
Yeah, you up?
You up? Because I cannot stand that because clearly like you weren't a priority. You were not, you're just like, they want to just whatever with you. So the fact that it was many days before that he made the point to get it on the calendar and then confirm, that's a huge green flag when they confirm like a couple days before, like, hey, are we still on, is everything still good? And he did all of that. I mean, I did date a couple people, in the 2 years or whatever that I was dating, that they did that, and I appreciated it because sometimes you don't know if you don't hear about, like, if someone on a Monday someone asks you out for Saturday and then they never say anything again, it's kind of strange. So and it makes your anxiety kind of act up like, wait, are we still doing that? So it's really nice when they just confirm and say, and that's not even with date, like that's even just with friends. Like I appreciate that you always do that, because life can get crazy and things happen, but it's nice when someone's like, hey, are you still good for whatever? So that's a big green flag for me.
Yeah, that's a great one. I mean, just being able to schedule together is a really good thing that makes your life a lot easier for me, right? Like I've dated people who are the opposite of that, where I would ask like, hey, are you going to be around this weekend? Are you going to come down to my house? Or, do you want, because I had my son, and her answer was always like, do whatever you're going to do and I'll show up if I feel like it. And it was like, that's not going to work for me.
No.
Because like, what if
that.
what if we go to the zoo? What if we go to, Hershey Park? Like, we want you to be involved. And she would just be like, I don't know if I can make it or not. And it's like, it's not like she had other things to do. It's just she didn't know if she felt like it. And she didn't want to commit if she didn't end up feeling like it on that day. And I'm like, well, that's not great. That's not someone you can really plan on and depend on and build something with if they're always going to be 1 foot out the door and you never know if they're going to show up or not. Like to me, I don't have a ton of anxiety, but that created an anxiety in me that really was unpleasant and was not something I'd ever encountered before. Because I feel like most people will be like, oh, like, let me think about it. I'll get back to you in a day. Or I can't make it because I'm going to see my friends that day. Like all of those answers are fine. But saying like, I'll show up if I feel like it is just a knife through my heart.
Yeah, no, it's completely understandable that would make you anxious because I'm not even a particularly anxious person and that would drive me bonkers for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Well, so yeah, being able to like share a calendar and just saying like, hey, I'm going to be seeing my friend that night. And you're just like, great, go have a good time with your friends. All those kinds of things make your life logistically a lot easier. And I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
If they talk positively about me around other people, and the reverse of that is if they talk negatively about me around other people, I'm going to be unhappy. So I definitely have dated a couple people who whenever we were around their friends and family, they were looking to air out the dirty laundry as quickly and as loudly as they possibly could. So they'd be like, "Can you believe this guy? Teddy does this," and I'm just like, "What? What?
Oh, that's so rude.
I didn't even know that was a problem, and now you're airing it out in front of our friends and family." Or it's really nice when you're in front of a group of people and they say nice things about you, and they're just like, "Oh, I love that he did this for me," and I'm sure you do this about your boyfriend because Jesus Christ, you're doing it on this podcast a lot.
There's so much to brag about.
There is. Obviously, he's an angel. So I think that's a really telling example of what they think of you, is what they say when, especially if they don't know you're listening, right? Like if you're just in a crowd and they don't know if you can hear them or something. My great example of the opposite of this is when my ex was meeting my sisters for the first time. And my one sister asked, "What do you love about Teddy?" And she was like, well, he treats me nicer than anybody ever has before. And I was like, waiting for the rest of the list, but it never came. She was just like, nodded, and that was it. And I was like, oh, okay. So the only thing that matters about me to you is that I treat you well. There's nothing about me that interests you, right? So that to me is a giant red flag. And so anytime you're hearing them say nice things, I feel like that's a giant green flag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. I absolutely agree.
Do you have another one?
Yes. So another green flag to me, you might disagree with me, but appropriate level of intimacy for the time that you've known them, or at least like for what they're attempting.
Just what are you implying about me and my sexual preferences, madam? Actually, my next one had to do with sex, so this ties in perfectly.
Okay, so then that works out. Well, I think that if you are just starting to talk to somebody and they take it in a sexual direction right away, I'm talking like your first conversation on the app, because you do see that a lot on the like women post screenshots on "Are we dating the same guy?" and it'll be within the first couple, like right after "Hi, how are you?" Like, "Oh, so do you like bleep 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 bleep?" You know, and I think if they're kind of reading the room and making sure that you're comfortable before they bring up that sort of thing is important, you know. And I mean, I'm the type of person, I do like a kiss on the first date. Some people don't even do that on a first date. I think that's appropriate, but I don't know. I think if they turn things too sexual at first, it might be a red flag. So I would say that it's like appropriate with the pacing, or at the very least, what you know the other person is comfortable with. Yeah. So if you gauge that, okay, they're all right with like kissing or whatever, and then look, if the other person is into doing more, that's fine. But I think, there has to be some sort of like assessing where you are on like a physical level before you try to push for more.
One of my favorite aspects of any person I've ever dated was, I'm saying that in an exaggerated way, but the woman who was only into chicken nuggets and fries, she told me about all the guys who would message her and just immediately jump into their kink. So they would be like, my favorite one of that was a guy asked her if she would kick him in the nuts as hard as she possibly could. Mm-hmm. First message.
Oh.
That was just like, oh, that's why women say that I am not a creep pretty early on, is because I don't just launch into, would you please swiftly and repeatedly kick me in my groin?
Yeah.
As hard as you can.
It's wild out there. It is wild.
I mean, I do like that. I just don't come out on first message with that. No, I really don't like that. Please don't do that. So along those same lines, in the sexual vein, this is where our episode becomes E-rated instead of just a family-friendly one, is that if they don't treat sex as a weapon and they're not precious about it. Mm-hmm. So like, sex is funny sometimes. Mm-hmm. Sex is not that serious in a lot of cases. But I have known people who it had to be flowers and the bed had to be just so, and the lighting had to be off or dim or whatever. And there's just all these caveats that had to go into
Right.
place.
And that kills the mood,
Oh my
really.
God. And in their mind, it sets the mood. In my mind, it's just like, I don't want it to be, sometimes it's short and it's
Yeah.
over quickly. It's whatever. It doesn't always
Right.
need to be a
It
production.
doesn't need to be a production.
It's insane to me that people view that has to be that way every time. And I don't know if that's because of the religious world that I came out of, where sex is treated like this thing when angels sing and, the Lord has blessed what you're doing and all that stuff. And I'm sure for a lot of people it is that. And again, I wish them all the best. For me,
Yes.
it cannot be that all the time. Once in a while, sure, I hear an angel singing Stairway to Heaven or whatever in the background. But most of the time, it is just a thing that you do with somebody that you enjoy spending time with. And it's not that big a deal. And it shouldn't have to be a whole production.
Agreed.
But not using it as a weapon is another thing. Like I've definitely dated people who viewed it as like they were the gatekeeper of sex, and if you did anything to displease them in any way, sex was off the table. They're withholding it, and that is just, I think, a hugely toxic trait that I want nothing to do with. I want the people who are like, yeah, we argued, let's go have sex about it to,
Yeah.
fight it out. I'm like, yeah, all right, well, I'll let you win. Did you have others?
Why don't we just go with yours, since we're
Okay.
getting to be at that time?
A couple of these are pretty quick, so I'll just bang through them real quick. If they don't mind driving once in a while, right? I have no problem doing the vast majority, 95% of the driving, but I have a thing where I get highway hypnosis, and sometimes late at night, I just start passing out.
Right.
And so occasionally it is nice to have a backup driver there. I have
Yes.
dated people who thought that they were Miss Daisy and I was Morgan Freeman, and that I would do all the driving, and it bothered them if I ever asked. So it's very nice when they don't mind chipping in here and there. We already talked about if they have good friend relationships. My last two, one is that they think positively in general, because I am generally skewed towards a more realistic and grounded, and sometimes people would view it as negative, but I think reality has a negative bent, and so I just acknowledge what reality is. So I would like them to be able to think positively most of the time, because that sort of balances me out, but that they also can acknowledge that reality is sometimes less than positive.
Yes.
I have dated people who are toxically positive, and it is exhausting. You need to be able to address reality here and there. The whole thing of like, you had a rough day at work. Well, at least you weren't, doing this, that, or the other thing. You weren't working in the mines. It's like, well, yeah, okay, sure. But also, my boss is kind of a jerk sometimes.
Yeah.
And I would like to vent about that without having a prescription for how to fix it that involves me upending my entire life.
Right.
One girl literally broke up with me because I complained about my job, and she said, you don't want to go find a new one. And I said, I do. I'm just not in a place where I can dedicate. It takes a lot of work to do that.
Of course, yes.
You have to dedicate hours and a ton of energy to filling out resumes and all that kind of, doing all the steps that go into that, which I could go on a rant for probably a whole nother hour. But all of that to say that she viewed that as a lack of ambition. And I'm just saying, like, no, sometimes, it's really hard to break out of your current situation because of, maybe you have the pay that you're getting is higher than you would get if you moved to a different position, or,
Yeah.
The devil you know is better than the one you don't, things like that, where I think they just kind of have to, I'm using that as one specific example, but they have to be able to deal with reality.
Yes. I agree.
And then the last one, and I think the biggest one for me, is they have to be a kind person. In every aspect of their life, I have dated some really mean, cruel people because I have some issues with. I'm reading this book right now called Are You Mad at Me? Have you heard of it?
No.
It's written by a licensed clinical social worker that I follow on Instagram, who kind of went viral because she posted a video talking about fawning and how that it goes with attachment styles, and
Yes.
she just kind of developed an audience because of that. And so I think this book is primarily aimed at women, but like there's a lot of things in there that I have kind of patterns that I've fallen into in my life, where you are drawn to people that are cruel or who are not kind because that's what you're used to. That's what you
Yes.
grew up with. My parents were both pretty kind people, generally speaking, but they could be a little cold and detached. My brother, who kind of raised the bottom four of us, had some real issues with anger and exploding on people and, mildly abusive behavior depending on who you talk to. And so I have noticed in my later years, and this book is kind of really illustrated for me, that I seem to gravitate towards finding that again in relationships because it's what I think I deserve. So I think for me, when I started dating people who were kind, it was a dramatic, eye-opening thing for me of like, oh, I didn't know that people could be like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a put on. I didn't realize that people could genuinely be kind to other people and want to do kind things and would do that for their partner. So that might sound like a very obvious thing for most people who are listening, but for me, it was kind of a shock to my nervous system that I was not prepared for.
Yeah. Kindness is, in many aspects of your life, yes, being kind. And it goes along with just how you treat everyone, no matter what their station in life is. Again, going back to how do you treat wait staff? Are you rude to people? Things like that. And I kind of remembered one of my big ones because, in the red flags, I said, if you don't feel comfortable around someone, something feels off. I think with the green flag, you feel good with the person. And if they are a kind person and they're demonstrating that, in many different ways with many different people, you're going to feel better around them. So I think, for my final green flag, I will say, that your nervous system is calm around, and they're not triggering any childhood wounds and things like that, but you feel safe and secure. And again, after being with a lot of people who made me feel some type of way, anxious, paranoid, angry, whatever, once you are with someone where you can just, like, your nervous system can relax and you feel good around them and you want to be with them because of how you feel when you're around them. I followed somebody who said, don't focus on how you feel about someone, focus on how you feel with someone. And I think that is really, like, what cues is your body giving you, about how you feel about this person or with this person. So, yeah, to me, having a feeling of safety, of security, and that you can be yourself, that you are comfortable, that is really the ultimate green flag for me.
Yeah, well put. And I think that's a nice little bow on the end of this episode.
Yeah.
I would love to hear if there are any green flags that other people have thought of that we didn't cover, because I think we did a pretty comprehensive list, but I'm sure that other people have ones that we didn't consider. So for any of the 3 people who are listening, my exes included, if there's any green flags you would like to mention, I'd love to hear them.
Yes, please comment. Let us know if we missed any green flags or even red flags. Go back and listen to our red flag episode, actually, because I think that one was really good. And thank you to everyone who's been supporting and sharing all that good stuff. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Have a great week, everybody.